Can he turn provider? Pereiro stands it up, and it's in from Alberto Cherry. What a stunning conclusion to this game. Parma are absolutely stunned.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adriano Donardo, Gianni Delacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The intro song is Fireworks by Jazar. And just like the European Super League bringing together 12 of the biggest clubs in Europe, or wanting to bring together 12 of the biggest clubs in Europe, we've brought together 4 of the biggest Calcio fans here in Montreal tonight for the podcast. Gianni Delacoli, Adriano Donardo, I'm Nicholas Di Giovanni here on the Calcio Guys, and we got a special guest from the Milan Weekly Podcast, a member of the Milan Club here in Montreal. Steve, how's it going?
Very good, guys. Very good.
And this week, I think we're going to do the episode just a bit differently this week. You know, normally we have our guest on, you know, we'll ask a couple of questions, you know, but we all have opinions on the Super League. We're all, you know, we're going to have more of a discussion, I guess. But you're a guest. Just first reactions. When you first saw Super League on Sunday, like Sunday afternoon, I don't know what time it was. Announcement comes out. 12 teams want to get involved in this Super League. What were your first initial thoughts?
Guys, my first initial thoughts was, oh boy, we're in for one hell of a soap opera for the next couple of days. And I'm not saying that. I'm not the Monday morning quarterbacking this. You know, they spoke about the Super League multiple times, you know, just little tidbits, whether they're going to do it, they're not going to do it, who's going to be involved. And then to see it actually come out, you know, like we said on the podcast with Vinny, you know, on Milan Weekly Podcast, it was more like wow, the timing, you know, like right before UEFA announces their change to the Champions League, these guys come out and, you know, 12 teams and decide that they're going to break off and they're going to go and start their own league, but they don't want to touch anything. They still want to play in Serie A or their respective league. They still want to play in the Euro, play in the FIFA World Cup. Like, just something didn't work. Like, it didn't sit well with me, this whole situation. Like, I'm a purist. You know, Adriano knows me a little bit better than both you guys, just we spend a lot more time together watching Milan games. Yeah. I'm an old school guy. I'm not old. I'm 40 years old, but in soccer years, I'm like 65 to 75 years old, right? Like, I like the purity of the game. I like the way it was. And, you know, what hurt me is I get what they were trying to do. And, you know, and I stand by this firmly. I was not for Superliga, but I wasn't against it either. You understand? Like, you know, UEFA and FIFA cannot get that get out of jail free card. Like, these guys have their own skeletons in their closet, guys, you know, and like, and everybody listening to the podcast tonight, you see today what happened, guys. Yeah. The skeletons are there. So the skeletons are there for everybody, you know, and I don't want to rant because, you know, I'm famous for ranting, but that's just, you know, and we'll continue talking about it. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get, again, more agitated and more my hands will fling more as the podcast goes on. But it was more that. It was like I felt kind of like uneasy and unsettled and a little bit taken as a fool.
Yeah. And I mean, Steve, listen, you guys had your podcast last night. First off, if anybody didn't listen to it, go check it out. But what a whirlwind of emotions and changes, literally in a blink of an eye, overnight. We went sleeping. You know, the news changed today, right? And you guys had your stance last night, Vinny and yourself. and we sit back here tonight, we want to get into this Super League discussion, and all of a sudden everything changes. Steve, I guess just a question to ask is, what happened? Was this a big bluff? Was this a big threat to UEFA? Because listen, guys, we all know UEFA, FIFA, there is corruption. You know, they don't have their hands clean either, right? What do you make of the last 24, not even 48 hours of this whole soap opera?
So this was a sped up version of the world that we live in today, where
That's fair.
You know, things happen so quickly. You know, like we said it, like yesterday. You know, on our podcast, we were talking about, you know, what's gonna happen with the Superliga. 24 hours later, you guys give me this great honor of being on your podcast, and we're talking about what happened to the Super League. Like,
Yeah, crazy.
I can't tell you, was this a plot? You know, there's conspiracy theories with anything, right? We've gone through this 2 years of COVID where there's conspiracy theories and everything. I believe that there is some kind of plan that had to happen here, right? Because, you know, these are 12 teams that are rich, guys. They're not missing accountants. They're not missing lawyers. You're telling me that they put together this Superliga without dotting their I's and crossing their T's? Like, I'll give you just one example, and because it hits home to me and Adriano. You know, Elliott Fund buys countries. You understand? You tell me they can't put together a league of 12 teams without having these loopholes, you know, and UEFA looked like they already had all their guns loaded already. So you're not going to play the Euros. FIFA's going to ban you from the World Cup. We're going to ban you from the Champions League. You know, they had all their ammunition already ready. So I'm not the best person to talk about this because I get agitated when people say, oh, was it a ploy to get more money? I don't know if they're going to get more money. Will these 12 teams be in a worse place in the next 24 hours than they were today? We don't know, right? I don't think so because like I tweeted out earlier today, they didn't have time to do something bad. The league lasted 2 days, guys. Like they just because you talk about something doesn't mean that you did something wrong, right? Because then let's close down soccer completely, right? So that's my answer to that, where like things have changed. So, and today was the best day to be on Twitter. Like I work full time and I'm lucky enough to work from home downstairs in my basement. And my wife, she understands that it's 2 years now. We're playing the Sky Calcio 24 on the TV with the volume slightly elevated so I could hear just enough. You know, I'm able to work and either listen to a podcast or read something on Twitter. But today, if you could have done that, it was like Twitter Disney. It was insane, guys.
Yeah,
there was people creating, you know, and you saw some people get angry. I actually don't get angry. I applaud these people for their imagination. They were creating fake accounts. Agnelli resigned. Then he didn't resign.
Napoleonismo,
yeah. Who was out of Superliga before they even knew they were in Superliga? You know, like this was great for the casual fan who doesn't take it to heart like us.
Yeah,
but
well said.
Once I sit back in my chair and I say, guys, are we swearing on the podcast? Can I swear?
Yeah,
you can.
Go for it.
You can.
Go for it.
I sat back in my chair and said, what the fuck is going on here?
There it is.
Like, how destructive could this have been? Like, even if you guys planned it this way, this is destructive to the game. Like, I put myself in the Superliga chair and I say, okay, I get it. You want to go that North American, no promotion, no relegation, NBA, NFL style league? Cool. You want to try to grab more money? Okay. I put myself in the UEFA seat and I say, well, these guys are cutting me out. I'm angry. But in the end, guys, after 48 hours, they're gonna spin it that the fans won. But in the end, Calcio and football lost.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's well said.
Yeah, really well said. Exactly. About 30 minutes before we started this podcast, Super League comes out with an announcement. IFTV posted this, so I don't know exactly where they got it from. Because one thing I noticed about the Super League, I wouldn't say secretive. Like, their website is hard to find. You know, you Google Super League and you get a rugby league. They don't have any social media. You know,
very strange.
And even their website was very, very simple. Probably took like 2 hours to make. It has the logos of the 12 teams. It has a couple of points of, you know, what they wanted to do, and the press release. Very, very simple. But this announcement comes out. You know, it starts off. The European Super League is convinced that the current status quo of European football needs to change. We are proposing a new European competition because the existing system does not work. You know, they go on to, you know, talk about, you know, today's actions, and then finish. Given the current circumstances, we shall reconsider the most appropriate steps to reshape the project, always having in mind our goals of offering fans the best experience possible while enhancing solidarity payments for the entire football community. In short terms, Super League's currently suspended as we know it.
AKA destroyed, dead.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I wanted to ask Gianni and Adriano, you know, what were your guys' initial thoughts on this when you first heard it on Sunday?
Johnny?
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to touch back quick on what Steve said. First of all, we're honored to have you on. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate that, the nice little compliment.
CVP,
and
baby.
you're right. What I was loving about it the whole time on Twitter was that people were just making memes left, right, and center and jokes. All the wrestling references were amazing. They were perfect. But when I'm going to give my comments now, I'm going based on initial information, initially what was given, face value. Obviously, there's a lot of details behind the scene that we don't know about, or what exactly would have happened if things went through. So I'm just going to go based on information at face value. Now, my first initial reaction was to quote Matteo. I forget the Italian politician, but Matteo. First reaction, shock because
Matteo Renzi.
But because it just goes against what sport is about. Because my issue was the fact that the 15 teams invited were immune to any form of relegation or removal from the league or any sort of, for lack of a better term, punishment for being complacent or for not producing or not performing well. And the fact that they wanted to be a part of this league where actually they receive about 300 million euros and also participate in another league where teams are only making a fraction of that amount. And how do you expect the smaller teams to grow in your domestic leagues if you're just going to continue on stifling the top three spots just amongst yourselves? And we say it from time and time again, the best type of years for Serie A are the ones where any team can make a run for first place, and it's exciting to watch. This year, we've seen a juggling of Milan and Inter. You know, like last year, Lazio was in first place and then just kind of stumbled towards the end, and Juventus ended up getting it, you know. That's exciting soccer to watch. Now, I understand that, yes, most of the time it is the big three teams in Italy that are succeeding, and they are the ones that are known around the world. I'm not denying that fact. But the point of sport is to be that there's winners and losers. If you win, you earn something. And if you lose, well, you have to go to the drawing board and figure out what it takes to win again. And if you're just going to be in a league where if you lose, nothing happens, nobody cares, and you keep on getting 300 million euros just for existing, that doesn't sit right with me because that's not what the point of sport is. Yeah. So that's why I was really enraged by it and whatnot. That was going with what was initially released. So, and as of today, it's been suspended. No other details have been released at all. So I can't have more to base off what I just saw.
You're never going to have more. And sorry, just to cut off with,
like
you, I really wanted to see what some of the details, like I wanted to digest, like before yesterday's podcast, when I went on, I wanted to, I know, Vinny works a job where he's completely he's completely customer facing. Very hard for him to do something like to get prepared for that. So I wanted to make sure that at least one of us was at least prepared, which we're usually not for the podcast, but not prepared in terms of like finer detail, but at least get something down. There was just so much information, so many things, and so many things that are they true, are they not true, right? So, me too. I found it strange. Like I saw the J.P. Morgan and them going to give. That's the thing. That's the problem. They were saying they were going to give 3.5 billion or million or whatever the hell they were going to give.
Yeah.
The thing that we give is it's either not translated properly. No one gives anything, and then of course as you go on in the day you find out, well, JP Morgan is going to finance that, but they want that 3.5 billion back. So it's a loan for these guys. So no one was getting 350 million a year. And and some people said, oh, they're going to get 350 every year. Well, that's a shit ton of money every year. I don't know where JP Morgan prints their money, but that's a lot of money. So that was again very strange. Not really, not really concrete information. And, I felt exactly like you. I was like, what is going on here? Like, this is going to be C'è posta per te, Il posta sole, all combined, days of our lives, General Hospital, like, no one ever dies.
Borsa Maria.
And you know what? And it was like General Hospital. Like, then it's like you have Florentino Perez coming out like as if he's the next great white hope, and pushing his agenda. You have Agnelli pictured as Anima on his podcast, picturing him as a Bond villain. There was so much content that I just needed to sit back at a certain point. And even tonight, guys, sorry, I'm going crazy because it was insane. I was upstairs with my daughter trying to give her a shower, and I still had MilanNews.it on the live, listening to them on the live on Instagram. And my wife came in the wash. She's like, "What's going on? How could they still be awake? It's 2:00 in the morning." I was like, "These guys didn't sleep. It's 48 hours. That's for sure. They did not sleep because this kept them up." So I get where you're coming from, and especially for fans of teams that were not included in this Super League, I would be pissed. I would honestly be really pissed off because I don't even get the chance to make this money. And that's the thing that was a huge negative for me. You chose these 12 teams and no one else gets a chance. So how does that work, right? So
yeah, no, Steve, you bring up good points and a good segue even to what I was feeling. I mean, obviously, just from off the bat, I wasn't a fan. Maybe it's because I'm that hopeless romantic with those Cinderella stories. That's something that excites me in sports in general, not only Calcio, but just sports in general. And again, you brought up Steve, and I think we almost killed each other in our personal chat. But just there's so many what ifs. What if this? What if that? Is this true? Is that not true? Like, nothing official. Just the news came pouring in, and it's like Steve said, you don't know what to believe. Obviously, just on our trio, we had some of us that our teams were included, and we had Johnny's teams that weren't. So we got
multiple
different
teams.
Multiple teams, exactly. But we got just an overall view of teams that are in it have an opinion, and teams that are not in it and have an opinion. So I don't know. I didn't like it off the bat. I didn't know where to turn for news. I mean, you try to go to reliable sources. You try to listen to the podcast that came out first. I was listening to Serie A Sit Down Sunday night. I was listening to Milan Weekly Podcast last night. They're just, we don't know. We're across the pond. We didn't know anything, right? We got fed whatever news got fed. And we're speculating this amount of money is going to these teams. And listen, I don't think it sounded fair at all, especially if You wanna dip your hands in all the cookie jars, if I may. You want to do the Super League one, you want to do the maybe Champions League one, and you want to do the Serie A one for our cases. It's a lot. I don't think it was fair. I'm glad that people spoke up. But I mean, again, at the end of the day, I did also understand, like you guys are mentioning, I did understand as well where this is coming from. Maybe things do need to change in Europe. But again, there was no right or wrong side for me, because you look at both ends. I wouldn't trust UEFA. I wouldn't trust, Agnelli and Super League and Co. And Perez and Glazer, either. But again, I think there's a better way to go about making our game better. Was this the solution? We saw in 48 hours. It doesn't look like it. Do I think this goes away? No, I do think this will come back up again. I don't know when, but it will come back again eventually. But again, initial thoughts, wasn't a fan. Still standing on that. Like Jenny said, it ruins the game. And many players come out and they said, I don't remember who it was, but they're like, you can't buy a dream. You can't buy that stuff. You dream to play in Serie A. You dream to play in the World Cup. You dream to play in Champions League. These things can be bought.
I'll let the guys, you guys chime in. I have my own frustration about that stuff too.
Man City, PSG, they buy. Yeah. They buy wins.
But they still can't win the Champions League. They buy. And they're still left home with what? The Coupe de France? The Bundesliga? Okay. I mean, it's fair, but I don't know. Besides maybe Bayern Munich, sorry, I'm staying with Bayern Munich, but for City, I mean, you'll win the Prem, okay, but they haven't done it in Europe, so
yeah,
I don't know.
And it's a tough thing to like today. I saw that other side too, and now I'm gonna get a little bit personal with some of the non-teams that were in there, so like you see the Napoli Comunicado, where De Laurentiis magically doesn't know who JP Morgan is. In a sense, so I call bullshit on that. So right there, I know that Napoli knew about the Superliga. So you're not going to tell me that Napoli did not know. You're playing stupid.
I think he was playing coy with because there was a report that he got contacted to join or something, and I think he was just playing coy with it because Dom, a good friend of ours and a listener, brought up a point when I was having a conversation with him about 4 years ago. It slipped my mind, and I was trying to look up reports for it, but ADL did want to bring up a Super League idea, but he wanted it to be the top 6 teams of each of the big leagues in Europe to compete in it. Now, there was no other details I could have found about that, whether he wanted it to be a rotational thing where it's top 6 qualify, a brand new champions, or just the top 6 most popular teams. I couldn't find any other details, but yeah, no, just to touch upon the ADL thing, it's not inaccurate to say that you call bullshit on it. It's possible. He's known to be
and we're guilty, right?
Like
me and Adriano, Nick, you're always guilty. You're Juventino, but me and Adriano, we have to be honest with ourselves. Milan was involved in this, and again, sitting on the Superliga side, I can see why they would be involved in it, because in the end, guys, the financial fair play that UEFA put together,
it's bullshit.
The Italian teams were the ones who suffered. I'm not going to say the most. I'm not educated enough to say the most, but from what I could see, Roma got raped by that. Inter got touched by that. Milan got touched by that.
Milan got rigged by that.
Yeah,
got destroyed by that.
And I get it, and Milan was in financial problems and was in a tough situation, but UEFA didn't say we're going to try to help. They said, no, we're going to take this advantage with your thing, and we're going to make it worse. So I can get the Milan standpoints of being pissed. Is it right to create a Superliga? No. But, we were on the right track. Like, Milan's on the right track in terms of what they're doing with social media, building their brand, changing up a lot of things. Adriano, he has me. He's in the Milan Club Montreal chat with me. He knows I'm constantly complaining about that. Constantly complaining about Serie A and how they can't market themselves across the pond. It's very bad. But then you have the Roma. You understand? Like, Roma fans. You know, we gave you 10 fucking years to win something. Napoli fans included. And you did sweet fuck all. You made Nick win 10 Scudettos in a row. I can't feel bad for you, you understand? Because you had that opportunity to invest money. Your owner didn't want to invest money. You know,
didn't do it right.
I look back and and people are going to say, oh, you're always looking in the past. But no, you know, the Morattis, they bled money to win champions. Not the Champions League. I'm saying just the Scudetto. They bled money. Berlusconi in the red. Well, you know, with Finvest and all his thing, you know, he put out money. It was more of a pride thing. Now with these new owners, it's more of a business thing. And we need to wrap our heads around it, that they're not the Berlusconi, the Morattis that we knew in the past. You know, the original Agnellis. And I'm not saying Juve, you know, I'm not a Juve fan, but you have to appreciate what they did with the brand. But at a certain point, they were tunnel visioned and they're stuck now. Now Juve is stuck between a rock and a hard place. They cannot make more. And this is why they need some help. They need that help, and they need something other than UEFA, because UEFA is not working for them. Yeah. So, like, but, you know, then you go back to, like, the Roma, the teams that are not in. You know, Roma coming out. We love soccer. Soccer is for everybody. You know, like, I picture the someone playing the harp behind that person who sent out that tweet. Come on, I'm gonna call bullshit on that, right? Yeah. Like, you know, you guys had the chance. Like, you know, your owner didn't want to spend money, and then he was pissed off and he sold the team.
Yeah, and the owner also messed up with a lot of sales and replacing it with nothing. But
exactly, yeah, you hired the wrong people. Yeah. You destroyed the greatest player that will ever wear a Roma jersey. Like, you know, you trashed him, and then you picked up and you left. So, like, I don't feel bad for you. Don't give me this. Oh my God. Oh, and let's not forget Signor De Zerbi. Oh, today all of a sudden, I don't want to play against Milan. Hey, shut the fuck up. Because if next year Milan wants to sign you, I want to see him reject that contract.
Yeah.
Or Inter or Juve wants to sign De Zerbi, and he's gonna reject it because they were in the Superliga. Fuck you. It's enough now. I've had enough of these guys. Of this make believe, you know. So,
before we continue, we have a couple of social media questions. I just wanted to give my 2 cents. I mean, similar almost to what Steve said. When it first came out, my first reaction was, what is this? You know, what is the Super League? What does it mean? You know, my first reaction was, does it mean these teams are just going to create their brand new league and do like North American style? You know, you just have a league of 20-something teams that play the same season, you know, this and that. Okay, then I look it up. Okay, it's not replacing domestic leagues. Okay, good. Okay, it's meant to compete with Champions League. Great. You know, like, my first reaction was, let's see where it is, because the details were very limited. And you know what? I think that was a mistake on their end, because you know, just the name itself, Super League, sounds like it's going to replace domestic leagues, and I think a lot of people had that initial reaction. So they didn't have that detail. They didn't have good marketing. They didn't even have, like I said, they didn't have social media. So there was you know, a lot of details that were missed out that they could have done a better job with. And you know what? At first, I told myself, okay, let's see if it even happens, because right away I knew, okay, I doubt this is even going to happen. And if it does, let's see what the format is and all that. So, you know what? In concept, it could be a good idea to get away from UEFA, because UEFA isn't an angel. UEFA has a ton of problems. They have a monopoly over soccer, and you know, soccer has become a business. We have to admit that to ourselves. Soccer has become a business, and when there is a monopoly, you know, they can do whatever they want. So, you know, I understand if there's frustration from 12 owners. You know, they want to make it North American style, where you know, the owners run the league, and they make the money. So, you know, in concept, I still don't mind it. Yeah, you know, like, there's the whole, you know, making it on merit thing. But you know, it's, you know, that's, I guess that's a discussion for another day. But I'd rather see some of these clubs play each other than maybe Juve play like Ferencváros in the Champions League. I know people are gonna have very different opinions on that as well, and that's fine. That's just everybody's gonna have a different viewpoint on that. So it's
people are gonna have Nick, they're gonna have a different viewpoint on that because it gives them a chance. You understand? Like that team will have a chance to see Juve. That's the only reason. And you have to give a little bit. What we forget is that there is fans of that other team, and they want to see Juve. You understand? And with this type of format, the North American format, which does not work in Europe because it's just geographics, right? It doesn't take a rocket scientist. NBA, you look at the States, their talent pool is humongous. Yes, there's basketball in Spain, there's basketball in Greece, there's basketball in Italy. But those leagues will never unite together. They'll all run in independent leagues.
Yeah.
Soccer has 6, I'm going to be very generous here, which I don't really think. I think there's really 4. But I'm going to say 6 just to not piss off anybody who's listening from the other 2. There's 6 leagues that have pretty much the same type of talent pool. Like, it's not the top 4 are pretty even, in terms of, like, let's say not money that they spend, but in terms of talent and results. And then there's everybody else. And now you're eliminating everybody else. That's a lot of people to eliminate and a lot of fans to piss off.
Yeah, no, you're right, Steve. And I don't know, we got a question from our last guest last week, Mas Richo. He reached out to us this week, and he asked. Now, I don't know what your guys' opinion on this is, but he asked, do you think the pushback from fans made the teams pull out? I don't know if that could have possibly been only on the fans to make this huge decision possible. Like we said earlier, everything changed in a blink of an eye. 24 to 48 hours, everything switched. I mean, did the fans have a small part in it? I can see that, obviously, with social media these days and just how things spread like wildfire. Yeah, I mean, I could see that, fans protesting and stuff like that nature, especially in England that we saw, all over online. But if I can say my answer, I don't think it would be anywhere near the sole reason, but definitely maybe a small part in doing this. But I think there's bigger things that made this big change happen in not even 24 to 48 hours. Steve, I don't know what you have to say to this.
I say there's nothing. I say absolutely nothing. A microscopic. Maybe one guy who looks at the social media for one particular team, like in the graveyard shift, maybe had a reaction.
Yeah,
guys, this is not something fan driven. This is UEFA flexing their muscle, FIFA flexing their muscle, the 12 teams, the reaction from their players, and that's another thing too. You saw Pioli answer today, and basically he was told, think about what's going on in the season, we'll worry about Superliga. Then you had Pirlo, who, Agnelli explained to them the project. I don't even think from his press conference he understood what was going on, because either he was high or he had a little bit too much of the Pirlo vino. But in his press conference, today. he looked a little bit, not very generic in terms of what was going on, right? So, yes, the players, they had each one of the Arsenal players playing the Champions League music. We don't care, Arsenal, you suck. You're probably not going to get to the Champions League anyways. Unless you win Europa League. But, this is big. This is out of our league, and no offense to anybody listening or us on the podcast. It's out of our league, and no offense to the people who protested. This is let's say if UEFA didn't say anything. Do you think they were not going to do the Superliga? No, they were going to do it.
No, they were going to do it, yeah.
Yeah, they were going to do it.
Exactly.
I believe still to today, and I will believe till they stop talking about Superliga, that at a certain point, they will do a Superliga. It will not be called Superliga. this is the famous, UEFA coming. We're going to do a Nations League. And everybody stopped and was like, well, what is the Nations League? Well, it's in between the Euro and the World Cup, and it's extra games. So you want to work these players when it's convenient for you, but not for when the teams want to work the players, right? And, I like Real Madrid, and I admire their prestige, and I'm not a Florentino Perez fan. I think it's very easy to rule with an iron fist, and you have all the money that you want to spend and have the government of Spain back you out when you're in financial trouble. But he said something on, one of the interviews that he did, I think it's the only interview that he did, and I watched it today, and yes, they translated from Spanish to Italian, but I understood, and one thing stood out on me. It's like, UEFA is having trouble understanding the difference between a monopoly and ownership. UEFA doesn't own these teams. UEFA is a monopoly that governs these teams, which is a huge difference. Already breaks the model of North American sports. No one owns the NFL. The owners own the NFL. They put Roger Goodell there as a puppet. You could put a mop from Intermarché Lagoria, and it'll do the same thing as Roger Goodell, guys. Same thing with the NBA. Same thing with Major League Baseball. The owners own.
Yeah.
What I was shocked to learn today, and I think it's Frank from Serie A Sit Down that posted it, the players don't even have a strong union. Like the players' union, European Union of footballers, and maybe I might be misquoting what their actual name is, but I read their thing, and halfway down I stopped reading. I was like, wow, these guys don't even have a strong union to protect themselves. They have no say whether they're going to play or not going to play. If they, De Zerbi even said it. It's like, I'm not going to play against Milan. I told my players the same thing, but if the owner tells me that I have to play, I guess I'm going to play. So then why the hell did you talk in the first place?
Yeah.
You're not the one who shells out the money. So shut up, coach, and that's it. Stay out of it.
Johnny, do you have any opinions on it? Because I have a few opinions on this, like, fans topic. I don't like if you want to go ahead first.
100%. I'm in agreement with Steven. There's no way that the fans had any influence at all. Yes, we've voiced all of our opinions that we're all in disagreement with it, but like at the end of the day, we just have voices. We're not the ones that are greasing the pockets, so to speak. I think basically there's a lot of shady stuff. Like, first of all, actually, I want to state that I was never pro UEFA or pro FIFA either with my disdain towards this decision making. I was just pro spirit of sport. And obviously, UEFA and FIFA are not saints at all. It goes back to the joke that we made. Like Milan is forced to make a compromise where they have to skip 1 year out of 2 of European competition, but Man City, they just for some reason magically don't have to miss out on European competition. So because somebody's pockets got greased. Now this is just me being a little bit salty, but I mean. There might be some fact behind it. So that's what I think what happened. I think a lot of the Prem teams saw that, hey, if we join this league and we don't go back to the Prem, we lose Prem funding, we're not going to do that because at the end of the day, money talks. And I think basically the teams opting out were realizing that, yeah, sure, there might be X amount of dollars here, but we're going to lose Y, which is much bigger if we join. And at the end, the money talks. And I think UEFA eventually is like, okay, fine. You know what? If money's a problem, all of a sudden, look at this. We have an extra $4 billion that we can give as prize money in Champions League. That I think
they expose themselves.
Yeah. Steve said it perfectly. Fans had nothing to do with it. As much as we love the sport and as much as we want to be difference makers, especially when we go to the games as ultras, as fans chanting, trying to support our players and motivate our players. Owners don't care about us. They don't. The owners are not fans. They're there to make a profit, especially nowadays.
They'll show the right videos, right? They'll show the Chelsea fans, the Man City fans outside. Yeah. And we'll get to, I want to know, Nick, guys, it's your podcast, so Nick needs to answer, but I'm tired. You see me like that? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the games. Like this was
Imagine,
not
it was
a
only-
good. This
only
was
48 hours.
It was
Steve,
40.
imagine.
It was a 48-hour game, game with like millions of people that love this game, and that's my frustration from grassroots soccer to what we do and what we talk about every week. And you know what? And today I was even texting me. I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of listening to this stupidity, because if they want, they can fix it. And you know what? Let's talk. And it's very important that everybody understands. I'm like pro. You want to protest? Go ahead. As long as you're not disrespectful and you don't loot and you want to voice your opinion, I'm for that. You know, everybody should be able to speak. But the thing is that, you know, like, the timing is terrible. There's coronavirus. You know, like JP Morgan wants to shell out $3.5 billion. There's a lot of people that could have used $3.5 billion. You could have helped a lot of families out there. So that increases the greed aspect of like tainting the sport that we love with terrible timing with this stupid puppet drama show that they put on.
Yeah, you know, I agree with all three of you. You know, even today, looking at some of those protests, I was kind of, not gonna lie, I was kind of shocked in a way to see some of the, I guess, logic behind them. You know, people are saying, you know, rest in peace football. You know, football is nothing without fans. And I'm thinking, you know, I think Czech Fabregas tweeted, you know, football is nothing without fans. You know, I'm thinking, what does the creation of the Super League have to do with fans? It's not like they wouldn't allow fans in the stadium or something, you know? So, you know, football is nothing without fans, no doubt. But from a financial point of view, you know, you guys might disagree with what I'm about to say, but in the past year, who's been in the seats? There's been no one in the seats, right? And yet football is still surviving. Maybe they're losing a bit of money. Sure. You know, gate revenue does bring in money.
Yeah, I think they're losing more than a bit of money. I think they're losing money.
But they're surviving right now. They're surviving right now, and that's because of sponsorships and TV deals. And if it's true that the Super League wanted, you know, wanted a $3.5 billion TV contract, you know, it's clear that owners have realized they're not going to have full capacity stadiums for maybe another couple of months, another year, depending on everything, right? And they really want to make as much money as possible from TV, right? So the majority of their audience is from TV. So, you know, the fans in the seats is something. It adds to the atmosphere, yes, but from a financial point of view, the important part is the TV deals, and that's what the owners want, right? And, you know, even I saw another sign from a Man U fan saying, you know, rest in peace working class. And I thought, UEFA doesn't care about the working class. No. They don't. Not at all. You know, it's, you know, it's, you want to talk about modern football, all this money. It's been like this for a long time. It happened in 92 when the Premier League sold its naming rights to Carling. It happened in 90, I don't know if it was 92 or 93 when the Champions, you know, when the Champions Cup became the Champions League. It happened in 2010 when the Serie A sold its naming rights to Tim. It's been like this forever. It's not like it changed from one announcement. So
there's one big difference, though, Nick, and it's good that you brought up that point, because people, and I wish that people from Europe listen to our podcast here on the East End, because we bring the North American side. No, they need to know.
They do.
A ticket to a game, Juve, and I'm not going to say a high-profile game. I'm going to say a ticket to the game, Juve Verona at J Stadium. Maybe it's going to be even a bit pricier. Maybe you're looking at 50 to 60 euros. Even if we double it, guys, okay? And the exchange is not double. If we double that, we say let's make it around $120 Canadian. Okay? Guys, we can sit in the whites for $120 Canadian for a Habs game. If you're a Leafs fan, you don't even get to park for $120 Canadian. So, like, Like, this is the difference. This is what they don't understand, right? Like, they think that their tickets are expensive. Here, it's the complete opposite. Here, it's expensive. I'm a father. I have kids. I would like to take my kids to the game and I'm exaggerating that. That 50 euros, you're getting a pretty decent ticket, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I've never been, but I'm going by the research that I've done. $50, you're getting a pretty decent ticket. At $50, if I'm doing that travel and I can bring my kid and I can watch the game with my kid for $200, I'm okay. But in my own city, I need to pay like $500 to $600 to go watch a game with my kid, and I still didn't eat. I have a problem.
Imagine.
Like, this is what they don't get, right,
Yeah.
Nick? They don't get that part. And we should say bye-bye to the working class, because the working class cannot go to a Habs game or a Leafs game or a Rangers game. Now, if you go down south to the border, you go down south to Florida, at $120, you bought half of the goaler's equipment for $120, right? That's the discrepancy between the two. And I don't think Europeans understand that about North American sports. It's very expensive for us to go. And when we go there, we're excited because we're in a new country. It's a different experience for us, but it's not as expensive as we thought. And imagine, we're walking into J Stadium or San Siro. Adriano's been to San Siro. We're not walking into a state-of-the-art facility here, guys. San Siro is a concrete jungle. You barely can go piss in San Siro. You understand? And they don't understand the North American way. We want the customer to enjoy it from the minute that he walks in to the minute that he leaves, so that when he goes home at night, he sits down on the couch after he puts his kids to bed. He's like, when am I going to my next game? They don't care about that. There's nothing. There's no concession stands. There's no merchants selling Juve stuff, Milan stuff. That doesn't exist inside the stadium. So you're already flawed. You cannot be a North American type of league without giving them the North American type of experience.
Yeah, that perfectly said. And you know what? If I'm not mistaken, when me and Adri, we went to the Milan game, Sassuolo at the San Siro in the second deck, I think it was 20 euros. If I'm not mistaken, the tickets were 20 euros. And
imagine.
It was my cousin that got it for us. He got it from a Milan season ticket holder, so maybe that's why it was a bit cheaper. When he told me the price is 20 euros, I was like,
I couldn't believe it.
A joke.
I couldn't believe it. Because then it dawned on me, sorry to cut you off, Nick, then it dawned on me exactly what Steve just said. Me and Nick are looking at each other, and we're telling his cousin, Davide, listen, if you come to Montreal, 20 euros, you're lucky even if you get onto the fucking bus or the metro or from point A to point B, So it's a big gap. I'm glad Nick brought it up. I'm glad Steve elaborated on it, because there is that big gap. I don't know if it's the Europeans thinking that they're ahead than we are, or I don't know if you want to say ahead or whatever the term you want to use, but that gap is definitely there. It's significant, and I don't think something that came up to be and got let out in 24 to 48 hours, everything was going to change into the North American way. Everything was going to be North Americanized. Everything in Europe, I'm talking about, right? It just couldn't be. It's too far-fetched. And we sit here, on a Tuesday night here in Montreal talking about it. And Steve talked about it last night and had a whole other opinion because everything was up in shambles, right? Yeah. So it's just so crazy. But Johnny, I think we had some other questions if you wanted to, elaborate with those.
Well, they're pretty much the same thing, because you had three different people asking it. One is Alex Kutras, a friend of mine. Second one is Genoa CFC Canada. Fabrizio, who's a great listener and a great friend of ours, and Calcio Boys. They ask, in general, should there be consequences for the three Serie A clubs? So I guess maybe I'll go first. If I may.
It's your podcast, John. You go first, man.
But you're the guest, right? You're the guest.
Don't matter about me. Don't worry about me. I'm going to cut you off sooner or later.
Well, I personally believe that if there was an idea of like you're gonna play in the Super League and you're locked in the Super League and never gonna face any consequences, and you also play domestic, I think maybe there should have been some repercussions there. Right now, for it not happening, I mean, I think maybe there might be some. I think maybe there should be some form of a penalty, but for like a 2-day incident, it's like at the end of the day, nothing came from it. All it came from it was just slander. Some owners looking like complete idiots, eggs on faces, embarrassment. It's hard to tell because nothing came to fruition. Fruition? I always have a hard time with that word. But nothing ever came.
Use the bar language. Don't worry about going in the dictionary.
but I'm
people
not a
fucked
bar
up,
guy.
Johnny. They fucked up.
Yeah. So that's what I think. I think because nothing came from it, I don't think there should be really any kind of consequence. But if they were going to try to have their cake and eat it too, I think the league should have been like, okay, whoa. Like, no, that's unfair. If you're going to do this, we're putting a massive handicap on you. But then again, like, these are the 3 teams that makes people watch Serie A anyways in the first place. So they could put whatever in penalties or sanctions or anything they want. At the end of the day, people are watching Serie A not for Benevento, not for Sassuolo, not for Udinese, not for Napoli or Roma. I'll even say that myself. They're watching it because Milan's won Champions Leagues, Inter's won Champions League, Juventus have won Champions Leagues. These are teams that win.
Whoa. Easy with the Juventus have won Champions League.
Hey, we did.
They still have.
Yeah.
And plural, multiple.
Yeah, but Johnny, you know what?
Yeah. Two
You
is more
lost
than
7
one.
times.
Here we go.
You lost 7 times, Nick. We have as many wins as you have losses.
We know that.
I love it. But no, just to bounce off to what Johnny said, and I'm glad we have Steve on tonight because again, I was listening last night. I was in the comment sections as I always try to be. But and I'm again, Steve, you probably can correct me if I'm wrong if I'm not saying it correctly. But I remember you guys brought up that let's say things don't happen. Like, is Serie A just going to be open arms? And I remember this specifically. Is Serie A going to be open arms and just grab all the Juve, Inter and Milan back with open arms and we'll just shake hands and hug and kiss? I don't know, right? That's everything changed, right? From last night to tonight's podcast. I keep on saying it, but it's the truth. And again, since nothing really came from it, I don't think anybody got a couple of dollars in that boost. I don't think so. I don't want to think that way. So again, I don't think. Like, what can possibly be done to these teams?
Nothing
should happen.
Nothing should happen.
What's going to happen?
Nothing happened.
Exactly. That's well put. Because what would happen? What would be significant to say that? Oh, what? Just because we accepted to do this, you're going to start handing out fines, or whatever the sanctions we're going to, and then get appealed, and then that's going to be a whole other, casino for Serie A, which we don't already need in this league. So I agree with Johnny. I'm guessing Steve definitely thinks the same as we do, but I just don't know what possible sanction there could have been. And again, if anybody does listen to this back and has something sort of sanction that they think is reasonable, by all means, come contact us. But I personally don't see it, and I don't think the guys on tonight see it. Because, like Steve said, nothing happened.
Yeah,
so,
the only people that are going to contact you are, Atalanta fans. They're going to want 10-point penalties. The Zerbis and the stupidity that was said there. But there is if Serie A, there was one huge repercussion to this, and it's not financial. It's not. It's not something damaging in terms of the standings. It's, Agnelli's reputation took a humongous hit because of these past 48 hours. And I'm not saying this to trash on Nick. He, as a Juve fan, and all Juve fans have to come to the conclusion that, as of Serie A, it looked like he was the spearhead, or he was the face, or he wanted to be the face. And, he's going to take the fall on the Serie A side. Florentino Perez, on the La Liga side, it seems like he's going to take the brunt of that from there. The heat. And, Manchester United as a club will take the heat. Greenwood, I think he's already gone for the English teams. He's taking that brunt there. The other ones, I think Milan and Inter really on the Italian side played it really, they slow played it. They did a little poker thing with, let Agnelli go. He's on his high horse. He's on his high horse. Let him go. And we'll just, slither away. And it's like, we have to say what it is. They slithered out of it with who's going to remember this next week.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
no, for sure. Punishments can't get punished for something that never happened, right? So, but you know what? I like to see. Maybe the Serie A kind of uses this not as a wake up call, but to kind of get things going to increase the league, change the league, develop the league, especially financially.
They're too stupid.
Yeah,
and I hate it. I hate saying this because I love Serie A and I love Calcio, but they're just too hard-headed and too pig-headed to change. Even this is a Mike Tyson punch to Calcio. Mike Tyson punch. Your three biggest teams threaten to leave and start their own league, and they still won't react in a way. And I'm not saying punishment. I'm saying a way to divide funds or to try to get funding to the smaller teams or grassroots level. Use an imagination. They're just, the Italians are made to think one way, and they think that they're doing it the right way. They don't want to listen to anybody else because, or us guys, let's face it, it would have changed. I've been watching soccer, since I've been 9 years old. And watching it with my father and watching it today, I'm still watching the San Siro. I'm still watching Roma playing in the Olimpico, which should not be a soccer stadium. Let's face it. It was done for the Olympics. The humongous track.
To get a new stadium. The city keeps on refusing.
That's a problem there.
I get it. But, the thing is, look at, Gianni, you're Naples. The San Paulo for the longest time before it became the Maradona. It's a bin. It's not working for them. Try to use some imagination, guys. And of course, we think politics here rules. In Italy, it's a whole other mishkin brod and minestrone of politics. I don't know what's gonna fix it. Do the dinosaurs? I feel bad saying this, but do the dinosaurs of that league have to move on or retire? Or completely get detached from the game without saying they have to die before things change? Because it's not getting any better. Like, how could you not have, and I'm going to talk Milan-wise now, and Serie A. Milan and Serie A only. How could you not have any English content? It doesn't make sense, guys. You cannot be English. English, except for our little stupid province, is a universal language, guys. Universal. When you don't know what to talk in a specific place, you have to revert back to English.
Well, Roma's English Twitter is probably one of the more popular English Serie A Twitter's accounts right now. If I may defend them for a moment, so I get what
he's
you're trying to say.
He's talking about just Milan.
No. I was just talking Milan.
Okay.
He's talking about.
I have
Milan
my own opinion, but the Twitter's not enough, Johnny. Twitter is not enough. I can't watch Twitter. I want content. I want to see the game in English, or I want to be able to see after the game, pre-game, halftime show in English. DAZN, even though DAZN, the mega power that bought those rights, they're still not doing it for Serie A. They did it for the English Premier League, though. If you guys are registered and whoever's listening to the podcast is registered for DAZN, wake up on Saturday morning and you'll see they have one of the games, which is their feature game, has a pre-game, a halftime, and an after the game show.
Yeah.
We've been begging for it.
Yeah. For Serie A, you have the game started. We're gonna announce the people on the field. I'm gonna have two commentators who clearly we're not good enough for the EPL. Do the commentary on my Italian game, whether it be Naples Juve, whether it be Milan Juve. It's just they're always referring back to the EPL. How could that be good for your brand?
Yeah.
Oh, in the EPL, this doesn't happen. Hey, go fuck yourself and go watch the fucking EPL. We're watching Napoli Juve. I want to know what's happening in the Napoli Juve game. I don't want to know what's happening in Leicester versus Leeds. Or, I don't want to know how good Liverpool is. I want to know what's happening Juve and Naples without comparing yourself. Because if you watch the EPL commentary, have you ever heard them refer back to, oh my God, this doesn't happen in Serie A?
Not at all.
No, never. You'll never hear it, Steve.
So that's a serious problem. And if you, as Serie A, could not even identify this, that's the major root of the problem.
One thing I was going to say before, and Steve, you said it perfectly, a way to divvy up the revenue. I was going to say, how about a revenue sharing program with the Serie A? I know the top owners really won't like this, but this is how it is, at least I know in the NHL. Basically, the top 15 teams in the NHL support the bottom 15 teams or bottom 16 teams, whatever it is now. Almost like a tax. Or how about the teams, whatever revenue they make in Europe, just a small percentage, just small, like 5% or something gets divvied up across the Serie A. Just something to keep the league competitive. I know a lot of people will disagree, especially, obviously, the owners of the Serie A won't want to give their money. Juve's owner, Agnelli doesn't want to give his money to Cagliari, right? But, if it's just 5% of what you make, let's say you make $100 million from the Champions League in a season, 5%, you give $5 million to the Serie A, you split it up, whatever, amongst the teams. It's something that's just from one team, and then the other teams that make money, it's something, and even if even if the smaller teams make money, Juve and all the other big clubs are still going to be so much more powerful. But at least those smaller teams are just going to have that bit extra fun to stay alive, pay their players, grow in terms of marketing, maybe eventually get a new stadium. It's funny because some of the smaller teams have ambitious stadium plans, like Bologna, like Cagliari. Frosinone had a nice stadium, and then meanwhile San Siro's still around. Like you said, San Siro, the Olimpico, the Maradona, very old stadiums, and these are the big clubs. So I'd like to see a bit of maybe shared funds to kind of grow the league, but I don't think that'll happen for a while.
So a good friend of mine, Jordan, who's a diehard Milanista, brought up some really good points today because I was texting him back and forth.
I think he's in our group, Jordan. I think he's in our group, Jordan.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to drop last name in case he doesn't want his last name too. But yeah, no, he brought up a good point where it's like back in the early 2000s, the reason why teams like Inter, Milan, and Juve were succeeding in Europe is because there wasn't any form of sharing of revenue from the TV deals and whatnot, because in the back of their minds they were earning that money. It's their money. And then I think it was the owner of Palermo at the time pulled the fit. He's like, well, we should share it, because or else how the hell do you expect me to compete with you guys if I'm trying to scrape by here? And ever since they started doing some form of sharing, it's caused the other the big three, let's say, decline in terms of competitiveness. And teams like Palermo are pretty much bouncing around in the bottom half, and then there's some teams that just don't really utilize that money properly. Now, I agree to an extent that teams should have a slice of the pie in a way, but it has to be structured. Like, you can't give up a big chunk of the pie to the bottom, let's say 5 or 10 teams. If you finish the bottom 3, unfortunately, you'll just get this tiny amount because Serie B, you don't need this extra funding. But if you finish in the 5 afterwards, this is what you get. If you finish in the middle 5, this is what you get. And if you finish in the top, let's say 4 spots or the top 6 spots, let's say you get X amount of dollars. Because in a way, when you earn this money or you get this money, If you mismanage it, it's not their fault. You mismanage the money. If they are giving you a little morsel, you're like, you want some help? Do what you want with it, and you don't actually do what's too bad, so sad. Don't complain again afterwards. Like teams like Atalanta, Napoli, Udinese, and stuff, like they took their time to get where they are. They did smart management. I know a lot of owners are buffoons, coaches are buffoons. People say their comments, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, they find success. They buy and sell players. They buy low, sell high. They reinvest properly. They rebuy young prospects. They redevelop their players, and they find success in some form or another, and they become competitive teams that way. And I feel like as if it needs to be a perfect balance. You can't shut off any type of sharing at all, because then after the weak teams don't get any stronger. But you can't secede so much that if you secede so much, all of a sudden the strong teams are laughable and they lose, like they're like Inter, where they just lose all their group stage games in Champions League, if I want to add a little bit of a joke. So in my personal belief, there has to be some form of a sharing, but it needs to be properly structured.
But you know what? I've always said this, and I'm a Milanista. You see, I bleed red and black. Milan's demise was because they had no project. It wasn't because they had no money. They were not able to transition from the old Guarda and the Senatori that were leaving, the Nestas, the Gattusos, and so on and so forth, to a sustainable plan where they would bring in new talent. And, Berlusconi, as we know now, was halfway out the door. And it's the same thing with Inter. They were not able to transition that. So they could have had the money. They would have probably mismanaged it. And, in the end, they had to pay the price, right? But what the frustrating part for me is that, I don't think a Napoli team should be punished that their books are in the positive. But when you have your window to win and you don't want to invest that money and you don't win, then don't cry about it. A la Roma, a la Napoli. We'll see the same thing. Atalanta will be always a beautiful story until and if they win something. If they don't, in 10, 15 years from now, we'll look at a chart that someone's going to put together and we'll see Juve, Inter, and I'm going to include Milan because I think they're on the right path again as teams winning the Serie A Scudetto over and over and over again.
Yeah, no, that's well said. And Steve, this Super League talk, this Serie A talk, it just, there's so much more to dive into. I think we can be here for a couple of days talking about it. But our boy Jan, a fellow Milan Club Montreal member, a great friend of ours, and avid listener and supporter, he basically asked, guys, where do we go from here? This clearly isn't over, he says. How do you think this might impact the three Italian teams in the Champions League, Europa League spots? Steve, if you want to take this off, where do we go from here? Obviously, if we want to go back to yesterday, and I was thinking of this, before listening to anything or what have you. I still think these teams needed to, especially our Serie A season this year, our Campionato is so close. I mean, whatever you want to say, Inter's going to win, whatever, but the race for top four, the race for Europa, it's close this year, right? It's been close these past couple of years, and there's a real fight. Was this Super League gonna stop our teams from really competing? I didn't think so. It would be stupid if they would have went down that route. In my personal opinion, what do you think? Milan's not going to try to get back into Champions League. They've been trying to do it for 10 fucking years. And again, I guess I'm getting the swearing from Steve tonight, but just to say no, but for real. And Inter, they've finally been getting on this, Champions League, pace that they've been missing for another decade themselves, right? You think they're just going to stop and not want to do it, Juve included, right? So where do we go from here, Steve? What's next? Is it just business as usual? Is it I don't even know where else to turn, but what do you see coming up next for these teams?
Yeah, so we talked about it earlier, right? Unfortunately, and again, not to pick on Nick, but Juve is going to have the most trouble dodging this, right?
Especially
the
considering
Pirlo,
the situation we're already in.
yeah. So
Yeah, exactly.
they're in a tough situation. Pirlo clearly mentioned that he knew about it. So if he knew about it, the players knew about it. Now it's not happening now. So like the players are like, but you just explained to me this project, and now, like, I don't know too much on the Milan. It could be the same with Milan, or it could be the same with Inter, but their owner stayed a little bit low key. Besides Gazidis sending something to all the partners saying that it's a new venture to make money, and now it's suspended 24. He's gonna have to deal with that business side, which I'm okay with. That's what he's paid for. But on the Juve side, this went to the players. This was something explained to the players, and now again, your president. He's got to go back to Torino and he's got to say, it didn't work out. It's not happening anymore. So now let's gear up again for Champions League. For Milan, just seeing what Pioli said today, and again, I could be completely wrong. I don't think it went past that. I don't think it went past, hey, just concentrate. I want to make sure that I finish top 4. That was our goal for the season. Just continue on what you're doing. Let's see what we will, do we have a game tomorrow against Sassuolo? We'll worry about Superliga. Inter was very quiet all throughout this whole thing. I don't follow too much. I follow Nima, but I'm not searching for Inter disgusting news about them winning the Scudetto. So I wasn't too in touch with what they were doing, but they're at top of Serie A right now, right? So for them, the pressure is less than everybody else. So for me, if I sit in the Milan seat, it's business as usual, Adrian. For me, Milan's goal for this year was to make top 4. We're sitting second right now. We've not been lower than second the whole year. It's time that we get back to we put back our working boots. We take that world-class quote and the working class needs to come up and they have to solidify that spot before we get to the last days of the season. I don't want no drama. I know cholesterol and high blood pressure runs in my family. I don't need this stuff. I need them to take care of business. For you, Nick, I don't know what you guys do from here.
Nick, what do you think?
Finish the season first. And then take it from there, because already, I just said it before, already it's a mess of a season. Unfortunately, the cycle is coming to an end, but I've told a couple of people Juve's having a mess of a season. We've already won a Supercoppa. We're going to a Coppa Italia final with a chance at a second cup. So, not all things bad. So, we'll see. I think there's going to be a major rebuilding in the offseason. Does that mean Ronaldo's going to leave? Shed the book of $30 million? Maybe. Does, Agnelli, is he still going to be president? I have no clue. It's there's going to be a lot of changes with Juventus in the offseason. I think it's going to be a busy summer.
Yeah.
And Gianni has a big game this week too against Lazio.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
I think.
Sorry, John.
Sorry, John. No, John. Sorry.
I'm just saying, like, right now, it's just because just in case Steve doesn't know, I support 2 teams. I'm just gonna keep it on the down low type of thing.
What?
But,
He knows. He knows. He knows. What do you mean?
I
He
just
doesn't
want to
know?
the other one, but it's okay. But for right now, for me, it's just I want one team to just kind of do well in Europa League, because that's just how they that's how they just seem to be performing. They just, Europa League, somehow we're making by. Whereas in the league, they can't beat a top 6 team, Roma, and they lose to Torino 3-1 in embarrassing fashion, but we won't get through that. But for Napoli against Lazio, that's going to be a big game because of the top 4 implications and whatnot. And honestly speaking, at the end of the day, every fan just wants to see their team succeed. Every fan, they just want whatever it takes for the team to find success in some form of another. That's what they want. So, in my opinion, where do we go from here? Status quo. Ship stays the course. Forget, since nothing came from this, let's not dwell on it. Move on.
Yeah. The problem with staying status quo for Serie A.
Okay. Well, yeah, I didn't mean it like that, but yeah.
No, but and it's good that you brought it up because it's important that we think about this. We could stay status quo. The problem is that it's a Euro year, right? So that'll be a distraction to all this again. And then what do? They won't have time to like we were talking about, think about different ideas. They'll use that as an excuse. Oh, the players are going to Euro. I need to take vacation. In Italy, they take all the month of August off. Like, God forbid someone works. And then we know that it's September and Serie A starting again. And they didn't fix anything. They didn't adjust anything to help, the smaller teams. And the vicious circle starts again. And hey, 2022, it's a World Cup year. And it's in the middle of winter. So that's the problem with that.
And we could have a whole other conversation about that World Cup, eh? We're talking about Super League, the corruption, money, this and that.
Qatar,
yeah, that whole,
yeah,
a lot of things wrong with that.
I think we're gonna have to have Steve on closer to that time.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna have to have Steve on closer to that time when we talk about, because there's a lot to talk about with that. But Steve, I mean, we didn't really talk Milan. Just quickly before we let you go, we were running up, over almost close to an hour and a half here.
We did have, I don't know if you said, Adriano, but we did have one question about Milan. If you want to do one question about Milan,
I didn't see it, but I'll go check it out.
It's from Mas Richo, who we had on last week. He said, "What issues do you think Milan need to address in the summer transfer window? Worst case scenario, if Raiola has a hand in having Donnarumma leave, who would you want as a replacement?" Sorry to cut you off, Adriano.
No, go. Well, no, I just wanted. I mean, listen, Steve. We got by the Genoa game. You guys spoke about, and we'll say here, but with a 2-1 result, and finally, hopefully getting onto this right page to finish off the season strong. And you mentioned enough going lower than second place all season long. I think tomorrow's is a big match. Yeah. Again, if you like De Zerbi's comments or not, this game will be played. This game will be tough. It's not going to be a cakewalk. I don't think. Besides, going into that game tomorrow against Sassuolo and to finish off the season, what do you make of Milan's chances? I mean, obviously top 4 is the goal. Do they stick in second? How do they take these last 6, 7, 8 games left to finish off the season?
Yeah, so I'm always of the favor that we can only control our destiny, what Milan can do. And I've tried to sit at my makeshift desk, which was also a Christmas table this year, and try to plot out who they're going to win against and who they might drop a bit of points to. But that's the beauty of this year's Campionato. You never know, right? Napoli has lost games that they would like to have back. Juve has lost games that they'd like to have back. We've tied and lost games that we'd like to have back, right? So I don't know. I would love to say they win all the 7 games, but I'm a realistic type of person. I don't think they'll win all 7 games, but they're in control of their own destiny, right? So I think they can beat Sassuolo. Now, what I've read today, there's a couple of injuries that I'm worried about. So no Zlatan. Seems like Hakan's knocked up too. And Tio. Yeah. And who else was knocked up? And Hakan. Right? So that's a lot of people hacked up. A lot of people that are knocked up, and I think they can get away with maybe, the ones that are, and also I think Benacer too is might be injured. So like that's again, it's reminding me of the Verona game, right? Like that's a lot of injuries to go through, and I think Sassuolo and Verona are quite similar in terms of like where they are in the standings, but they play a different style of game, right? So I think tomorrow Milan need to come out with a result and a victory, and again, not give back points that we've gained last week. That's what's important. And as we get closer to the end of the season, that extension of points makes it a little bit more comfortable, right? So, in terms of like the question that Nick had asked me from the person who wrote in, guys, I love Mercato, and I like this Donnarumma stuff. I understand what he's doing, Raiola, and unpopular opinion. If people don't follow my podcast, I'll say it on yours, guys. If I'm a football player and I have talent like Donnarumma, I want Raiola to be my agent because he's looking out for me. He wants me to succeed. He wants me to get money because I'm gonna make him money. That's what it is. You go to the mechanic, you want the best mechanic, but you're going to have to pay.
Yeah.
If you care about your car, you're going to have to pay. So, who would I want to replace? Obviously, I think Milan need to sign this contract, and I don't think Elliott is stupid. They've purchased, like we said, they're financial wizards there, right? Why would you get rid of this asset for zero? For them, I don't think that exists in their world. We don't give away anything for zero. So whether it'll be a 1 year or 2 year contract, I think they sign him up. The clause is going to be huge, but they're not going to screw around with this the next time. If he doesn't want to sign a longer extension, I think they're going to end up selling him. And, again, unpopular opinion, I like Gigio Donnarumma, but the keeper position is one of the positions that you can replace easier than other positions. Now, people are going to say, this fat guy that they put on this podcast is crazy. It can't be that he watches soccer. But it's true, guys. There's keepers out there that are not going to make all the saves that are going to keep us in. But I'm going to use that money. I'm going to strengthen my team. And that was part of his question. I said it from the beginning. Adriano, he knows. Beating the horse's drum. We need a replacement for Ibra. That's priority 1A for me. 1B is we need someone to play on that right wing because Castillejo and Salchicha Maker, they're not cutting it for me. And then if you have to sell Donnarumma, you're going to need to fill in the gap with a keeper. The keeper's not going to come at a cheap price, right? So, and depending on, I'm not looking like, people are shooting names across, Kappa from Chelsea. I don't want people's sloppy seconds. I don't want that bullshit. I want someone who plays in nets. I want someone who plays in Italy. And it's not going to cost me $100 million. It's going to cost me. He's going to have the experience. There's the Udine keeper. I always forget his name. I think it's Musso. He's been rumored there. There's Crago at Cagliari, another Italian. I don't know. I'm going to destroy you.
That's a Steve specialty, guys. Yeah. If anybody listening that doesn't know,
I mispronounce everybody's name. But those are keepers that are interesting. Are they as talented and have that upside or as sexy as Donnarumma? No. Can they stop a fucking ball? Yes. So let me use my money to reinvest in my keeper, in my players, and let's move on as an organization and go to the Champions League. I want to hear that music, guys. I need to sit down on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and I need to hear that music. I'm fed up of the Thursday music. I want to hear the Tuesday and Wednesday music.
I think that's the perfect title for maybe for our podcast episode. Steve from Milan Weekly Podcast wants to hear the Tuesday, Wednesday music. Steve, I think that's all we have for you tonight. I think we can all agree that we want Serie A to finish strong. We want to get over this Super League, super bullshit as fast as possible. And I guess we can officially say the Calcio guys are out of the Super League as well, just like you guys at Milan Weekly Podcast. We have the Euros, coming up this summer. That I know. I'm excited. I know us over here are excited, and Steve, I know you're excited as well. That you follow the Azzurri, quite well as well. But again, from the three of us, Steve, we can't thank you enough for all your analysis. We don't usually have our guests on for the whole show, but Steve, I think we have to make an exception for you because you're honestly great, and special episode with Steve tonight, but. Again, Steve, first off, before you plug away anything you want to plug away with, Milan Montreal, happy 5th anniversary. If nobody saw that on social media, Steve is an admin for Milan Montreal. Him, Marcello, Vinny, Mario, Everybody does a great job. And you know, we just want to congratulate you guys. And Jan too.
And
Jan is the new young blood over there. So from the three of us, we want to congratulate you guys on that. And Steve, anything you want to plug? Now's the time.
Yeah. So first thing, we just have to make it. And again, you know, old school type of guy. And I came, you know, my parents came from Italy in 1960. You know, so I'm 20 years older. I'm 20 years age difference than my brother. So I'm 40, my brother's 60. He's gonna kill me when he listens to this podcast. So I come from old school, native language Italian. So I've grown up soccer in my life all the time. My father was a Juventino. You know, the Milan club was something that, you know, he was not in the Juventino club. And, you know, he was, Steve, maybe we can go to the bar and watch the game or watch it Sunday mornings while my mother was making pasta. The Milan club, and I'm going to plug them a bit too, because we had this opportunity 5 years ago to take over this club that, you know, the old guard of the club were not able to digitize it. They were not able to take it to another level and get more young blood inside the door, right? So it's 5 years that we took over, and we wanted to rebrand it, and we created this new logo. And you see on the screen, you see Adriano, the original logo, just to represent Montreal a little bit better, right? People knew it was Milan Club Montreal, but we wanted to make sure that internationally, now as we grow the Milan Club brand and the Milan Weekly Podcast brand, that they know that we're from Montreal and that we're Italo-Canadese. And not only Italo-Canadese, as Adriano knows, the Milan Club is just united of all Rossoneri blood.
That's true.
It's a fantastic group. You know, Marcello does a great job behind the scenes. We never put him in front of the camera because he could make you fall asleep. But behind the scenes, he's there. Vinny, Mr. Super Customer Service, Mario, Anthony, and Jan. Those guys, they're in the trenches all the time looking for, you know, sponsors and things to do. So it's a fun thing. We've taken it from, you know, going and watch a game together to, you know, things for Fondazione Milan, you know, having contacts with actually the mother club, with important people at the mother club, you know, and that getting our voice across and what we want to do, right? So from there, guys, you know, for anybody who hasn't listened to me before, you know, we do Milan Weekly Podcast. We talk everything Milan. We're not professionals at all. We swear, we yell, we disagree with one another. We also make fun of the people who comment in the chat. We're not afraid. We're not afraid to speak our mind. We will continue to speak our mind. So you can catch us every Monday and follow us on social media at Milan Weekly Pod, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube channel. It's fun, guys, you know, and I want to thank you guys for doing this, because you guys not only concentrate on one team, you guys actually have to get together, and you're all from different teams. So I could imagine the hatred in some episodes, and then be able to be friends again. And what you guys do and continue to put out content, you know, and people say, oh, Steve, you know, look at what these guys are doing. And I'm happy. I'm not saying you guys, I'm saying other people, whether it be Milan content or Serie A content, as long as it's content about Calcio, I'm happy. I'm willing to help. I'm willing to come on the show. I don't need that. I'm 40. I'm not going to make millions out of this. It's because I love it. And we can talk an hour and 30 minutes, and it feels like I just got down here. Now, at 40 years old, I have to tell you, sitting for an hour and 30, my ass starts to hurt. I need a better chair. But that's about it, right? So if that's the only pain that I go through, we can talk forever, right? So thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it, and I'm honored that you kept me on the whole show.
No, of course, Steve. I don't think we could have done it for anybody else but yourself. You are a true character. We all see you on social media. Again, guys, definitely, check out Milan Club Montreal on Twitter, Instagram. Check Milan Weekly Podcast on anywhere you find your podcast, on social media. My guys here do a great job. And guys, okay, we say every week where you can find us at The Calcio Guys on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well. Catch our podcast on all your favorite podcasting platforms, and we'll be back next week to talk a lot more Calcio.
Before we go, an hour and 30, just to talk about this Super League. completely distracting us from the fact that there was a great match day in Serie A this weekend. 41 goals scored, 4-3 games, 5-3 games, 4-1 like hockey scores. We have a match day. We have a match day right now. It started today. I completely forgot about it just because of the Super League. But we'll get back to talking about Serie A next week. Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
Bye.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adriano Donardo, Gianni Delacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The outro song is The Last Ones by Jazar.